Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes of Israel. Today I'm going to deal with a commentary share called Cheesecake Factory Second Date. Cheesecake Factory Second Date. So this is a sister that went on a date with an Indian gentleman to the Cheesecake Factory, and when they got to the establishment she didn't want to get out of the car. She protested about it by making a video or doing a live with her friends and protesting that she didn't want to get out of the car because she couldn't believe that he took her to the Cheesecake Factory. Now the gentleman wasn't very impressed and he decided to drive her all the way back home and end the date. So this is a segment where they met up again on this YouTube channel. I believe the interviewer is called Wesley. And he has a YouTube channel, and these two went on there to explain what they didn't like about the date and what made them unhappy about the date. And I found it quite interesting because it's a follow-up to that video that went viral. And I thought it'd be interesting to give a commentary on it.
Well, I'm sorry. I understand where you're coming from. Well, yes, I think once we had the conversation, I could see my role in the conflict.
Okay. Okay.
Let's back up a little bit. To be fair, I mean, I was always raised that the man is supposed to cater to you. I mean, you're courting me, so court me. That means wherever I want to go, you take me.
Absolutely.
Whatever I want, you buy me. That's courting. You know, I'm looking for a provider. So, but after the conversation, I could see how there was a lot of
Okay.
in that exchange.
Absolutely.
I was definitely very self-centered, and I can appreciate if I do want someone to provide for me, I at least gotta be a little bit nice.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, she said courting. Now, this is not really a court. This is just a first date. This is literally, you're trying to speak to someone to get to know who they are, basically. You know, it's just it's like an introduction to someone. It's not really courting. Courting is when you go on a series of dates and then you realize, oh, I really like this person's company. You spend more and more time together. That's courting, because you're courting with the intention of marriage. You see, you go on a series of dates and then you go, I really like this person's company. I mean, I cannot go without thinking about this person, right? That's when it goes into courting, because you're looking to get married to someone, basically, and you're willing to go through the whole series of dates to prove a friend. The Bible says you should prove a friend. Now, once it crosses the boundary of courting into engagement is when the man actually makes a proposal to the woman and says, do you know what? I think we should get together as a married couple. I think we should get married. Now, and the woman says yes. Then now it moves from being a courting stage into an engagement. So that's pretty much locked down for marriage, because a promise has been made and promises have been made between both people. And now you ultimately going to promise before the world that you are now officially a married couple. But when you go on a first date, it's not really a court. There's not really courting. That you're just introducing yourself to that person because you don't know that person. It's only when you go on 2-3 dates and you get to know that person, then you can kind of say, well, okay, well, I really, really, really like to prove them a bit more. And then it kind of naturally goes into courting.
Based on your idea of dating before your conversation with Jay, how did you grow up? Who also thinks that way? I'm sure you have friends who think that way. I've heard it a lot.
I mean, everybody. I mean, that's what he's supposed to be, the provider.
Absolutely.
So and I'm a beautiful woman. So I'm expecting to be treated like royalty. I mean, come on.
Now, it's very good to be very sure of yourself, to love yourself, to be very confident in yourself, and not to have low self-esteem. All of that is good. The problem is when you have an inflated idea of yourself, where you say things like, I expected to be treated like royalty. Come on, I'm a beautiful woman. I mean, that shows me that you have a very inflated idea of yourself, right? And the Bible teaches us that we should be humble. We are to be humble. And when you don't have that humility, that sense of high-mindedness creeps in, and that's really pride, right? You get prideful. You start thinking, well, come on, all that self-love. I've done videos on that self-love, that excessive self-love. It creeps into narcissism, and it creeps into selfishness, right? And this is the result. It manifests itself in areas in which it shouldn't manifest itself. And this is what's happening here, I'm assuming.
So that's
But the
what I was
kicker
taught.
is, how do we treat him? And that's where the
Right.
disconnect was.
Right.
In the video, now of course I'm sure you think of it differently now, but in the video you basically told him that you're not going in there, you know your value. It would be embarrassing for you to go inside a Cheesecake Factory. A lot of people like Cheesecake Factory.
Oh.
Now, so when I see that video, I'm thinking, okay, she must have some friends who probably would disagree with her going inside a Cheesecake Factory. Your
Yeah.
peer group.
Yeah,
So
I would
peer
never-
pressure probably keeps
I
you
would
from.
never live that. Oh my God! I would have never lived that down.
Wow,
I
just
mean-
date the Cheesecake Factory. They wouldn't let you live that down.
No, I have an image to protect.
Wow.
Nikia does not do that. That was that was my circle though. That's how
Sure.
that's how we roll.
Sure.
To be quite blunt, that's how we roll.
And this is the problem with the black sisterhood, is that other women don't check other women. The Bible says that older women should teach the younger women, right? But women should be checking other women. Sisters should be checking other sisters. And that's the problem. If you hang around a bunch of women that think a certain way and have this kind of closed-mindedness, those women help to keep you single, you see? Because if you hang out with women, if you're in a circle with women that don't see themselves as being superior to men, then of course you wouldn't have that way of thinking. You wouldn't confirm that way of thinking, because you suddenly realize, oh, I can't think that way because that's not part of my culture. That's not part of who I am. That's not part of who I mix with. I mix with people who are I mix with other women who are submissive, kind, loving. They understand what a wife is supposed to be and what she's supposed to elude when she finds a man, etc., etc., etc. Right? I'm a godly woman, and I mix with other godly women. Right? That's how it should be. Right? And the expectation shouldn't all be on him to perform, while you just kind of just show up and look pretty and behave like a fool, right? The expectation should be on both people to impress each other and to get to know each other like decent, honest human beings.
Hypergamy is a big thing in my circle. Is what it's what we've been taught. Why? As a black woman, I'm gonna go there. As a black woman, we're really tired of having to settle. We want to be treated well.
Mm-hmm.
We want that soft life. So that's what I thought I was going after. However, what I understand is a part of having a soft life is being cooperative,
Being soft.
not being combative,
You're
right?
Actually being soft.
Right,
Right.
right,
Being receptive, being
right.
sweet.
Absolutely.
Being pleasant. Right. Because we do understand the value of resources, but it can't be just something for a lifestyle. Resources, a man's resources is not just for a woman's experiences and traveling, and the lifestyle they'll live when married is for providing for the family and the children. And that's why she should seek a man and, respect his resources, or prioritize his resources, not just for what it can do for her.
Right.
Right. And so when you were in the beginning of it, you was just saying, I'm not doing it. It seemed really selfish.
It
right.
was.
So she does a little subtle dig at black men, like, well, I'm just not going to settle anymore. Sorry, sweetheart, but you're not 20 anymore. Now, I've noticed something about a lot of these females is that when you pass the age of bearing children, at least naturally, should you be that picky? I mean, it's good to pick someone, but the Bible says you should continue with a man of wisdom, right? Wisdom is what you look for, right? Wisdom. But apart from that, should you be that picky in terms of, well, I'm just not going to settle? What the hell does that mean? Does that mean that you're not going to settle for someone that does not meet your very, very extreme criteria? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean that black men are so rubbish that they cannot meet my criteria, so I have to bounce the black man? So let me go to the other side to see how the other side lives. So now I realize my behavior is atrocious, so I'm willing to change to make this other guy, to make this man of another nation, to make a man of the Gentile nation feel better about himself, and so that I can, you know damn well that if it was a black man, she wouldn't be on this program. She'd be like, to hell with him. But because she really desperately wants a second date, that's why she's on this program. And it's also a cleanup method too.
Jay, is that your first time stopping a date midway through and going on back home, or?
Yeah, something like that's, I'm sorry, at least, yeah, that's the first time I've really like put my foot down to that kind of extent. But it's not like an isolated incident, okay. You know? Like, I've gone on dates with several people now, even before her, where they had very specific things they were looking for in a boyfriend or whatever. And even within my own circles, right? And that's just not something that I'm looking for, because I was raised, like we were talking about how she was raised, whereas with me, like my family, like we've passed down the name for ages, and we're a very close-knit, strong family.
What this gentleman is oozing is that he really needs a sweet Indian lady, right? And I think he should take a nice long trip to India, possibly spend a couple of weeks there, possibly even a couple of months, and look for a nice sweet Indian girl, because that's what it seems like to me. Because it's not going to work with this female. It's not going to work. I mean, the Lord is not okay with it anyway, but it's not going to work with a sister. Sisters are not going to change. They're not in America. They're not going to change. Now, don't get me wrong. If they want to impress a man, they will, it look like they change a little bit. But sooner or later, once they get familiar with the person, they'll just slip back into their old ways, because they've not really fully changed. For you to fully change, you need to actually come to Christ, go through the Bible, and examine the truth, live the laws, do the laws, and then the Lord now puts it in your spirit to change you completely, right? Instead of like a momentary change, is like a complete refresh, a complete change, whereby he puts his spirit in you to change, right? A lot of our sisters are not really ready for change. They go to these, I don't know about this sister, but a lot of our sisters go to these horrible churches that don't teach them anything, and then they go in there as a horrible person and they come out a horrible person. I mean, for the hour or 2 hours they're in the church, they seem nice and happy, but as soon as they leave, they go back and do the same old sinning, same old nastiness, same old whoredom, same old bad behavior, same old talking badly to their husband, etc., etc., etc. So this is the world that we live in today. This is the culture today. Now, if you're of Indian origin, you're an Indian person, right? You can go back to India. I mean, Indian men normally choose Indian women, right? They go back to India and choose a wife because they want a wife that is in her full faculty, a woman that is raised to see a man as being the boss, as being in charge, as being the head, a man, and they allow their men to rule. Whereas in modern Western culture, it's about changing the roles. It's making the man the female, making the woman the man, right? And it's about flipping the roles and causing confusion. And it is so meaning keeping men and women apart from each other.
At least your height or taller before you would date them?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. That probably makes it difficult finding someone suitable for yourself. You are what, 6'1", 6?
I'm almost 6'1", yes.
Almost 6'1". Mm-hmm. Wow. So that means, let's see, 14.5% of men are at least 6 feet, right? But that next 2 inches for you to find someone taller than you, that's 3.6% of men in the entire world that are tall enough that are they're at least 6'2". Is that discouraging?
I mean, I only need one. I only need to be
You need one, but he needs to be that height. He needs to make the resources, right?
Yeah.
He needs to be funny. He needs to be charismatic. He needs to be disciplined. And that doesn't discourage you? Like,
I'm an optimist. But no.
that I like.
Yeah,
I like
but no, I mean,
An optimist.
the logically speaking, I understand what you're saying. I've heard this many times, but I haven't given up on I hadn't given up on that. But I'm actually open. I really enjoyed our conversation, so I would consider.
Well, sure.
I'll let this roll on a little bit more because she was talking about, because he talked about height and she was responding to him when he brought up the height, because she's, I think she said she's over 6 foot. So I think she's 6'1", I think, or nearly 6'1". So she's quite a tall woman. And she said that she's looking for a man that is at least that bit taller than her. And it's the percentage of men that are over 6 foot is very, very small, right? In terms of world standards, the whole wide world, not a lot of men are 6 foot, right? Most men are under 6 foot, right? But I think the point that the host brought up, where he said, oh, but hang on, but he still has to have his money right. He still has to have this, still has to have that. So you still have a long list of a criteria to meet, and his height. So that kind of X's you out of the game. It makes what you're looking for really unreasonable and, quite frankly, foolish, right? And that's what happens in the dating game, in the modern dating game, is that a lot of people are looking for the instant hit, because it's a microwave culture. It's like they want an instant, they want to be instantly moved. They want it instantly happening, right? Because it's a throwaway microwave culture. And the moment that thing is not moving them, not entertaining them, not charismatic enough, not enjoyable enough, then they move on. You see, then the lady moves on, because women are very emotional. They're moved by their feelings. The moment they don't get that instant hit that they used to get, they move on. Or if they meet someone and that person is not charismatic enough, he's not entertaining enough, he's not funny enough, he doesn't make them feel something enough, then they go, oh no, that's not the right person for me. But I suppose what I'm trying to say is that the Bible says you should be looking for a man of wisdom. Someone of your own race, of course, but you should be looking for a man of wisdom. Now, I've done quite a lot of videos on wisdom, so I didn't really want to put too many scriptures in this video. This video was basically about just analysing these videos and, just giving a quick commentary on them, right? But let's go to Sirah. Let's go to Sirah 37:12. It says, but be continually with a godly man. So you got to be continually with a godly man. You got to look for a man of wisdom, a man that fears the Most High, loves the words in the Bible, loves the truth, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments. And a man that doesn't only just read the Bible and say platitudes, say words that make other people feel good, but a man that walks the walk. He does the commandments, right? He does what he says, right? Be continually with a godly man who thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind. So his mind is just like your mind, right? You want to keep the commandments and he wants to keep the commandments. He keeps it and you try to keep it, right? So you're both of the same mind. You fear the Lord, you love the Lord, and you're both of the same mindset. That whose mind is according to thy mind and will sorrow with thee. So this is someone that has great sympathy on you. Someone that loves you and understands you, right? Someone who understands when you go to work. If you're a man, you go to work, you might be digging ditches for a living. You want to come home to a clean house. You want to come home to some kind of order, right? Especially if your wife has been at home all day, right? So it says, and whose sorrow is with thee, right? Someone who's sympathetic to your needs, to your requirements. If thou shalt miscarry. So he's talking about miscarriage in this case, right? So if thy shall miscarry. So if you miscarry a child, your husband is not going to go, oh, well, this is a second miscarriage. You're not for me. You know, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to find the next woman because, you know, you obviously can't even look. What use are you? You can't even bear me children, right? That's a seriously horrible person, right? That's not a person you need to be with. You need to be continually with a man of wisdom. So let's go over this again. But be continually with a godly man whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. So if you're going through a lot of issues in your life, that person is so sympathetic, so entwined with your feelings and trying to make you feel good, right? Trying to sacrifice to meet your needs. When I say make you feel good, right, I'm not saying it, not in a sense of being an entertainer to entertain you, but someone to meet your needs, is trying to attain to meet your needs. Then that's the person you need to be with, because when you miscarry, if you're a woman and you miscarry, he will sorrow with you. He will be very sympathetic to you. The same way the other way around. If you as a man, you lose your job, you can't support your family, your wife is not going to get up and leave and say, well, you can't even support the family. What good are you? You're no man, right? She's not going to just get up and leave because she understands you. She understands that you just lost the job. You know, but if you carry on trusting in the Lord will provide. Okay, so let's get back to commentating on the clip that we just saw. That man should be carrying wisdom with him, right? He should be oozing the Bible, right? Everything in his conversation should be Bible, 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 law, 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 right? That's wisdom, because that man will know how to rule his household and how to treat you as a woman and to treat you with love, care, and dignity, right? So that's really what you should be looking for over all of the other superficial stuff, because a man being over 6 foot, bearing in mind that you're a 6 foot woman, I mean, that's really unreasonable, right? And even if you're, say you're a woman who is 5 foot, I don't know, 5'6" or 5'7", and you're looking for a 6 foot man, I mean, again, that is a really stupid thing to do, because the chances of you finding that person are very, very slim. So I thought I'd just let it roll just to bring out that point, right? Now, just to summarize, I think this video, or these two videos, represent a perfect summary of what dating is like today. You know, so a lot of you people that are in marriages, and you go, a lot of you females especially, men too, but mainly females, who say, oh, well, I'm gonna leave my husband because, well, I just don't feel like it anymore. He doesn't meet my emotions anymore. Oh, well, I just don't like it anymore. Oh, well, I just don't feel anything for him anymore. There's no love anymore. That's not a good enough reason to divorce your husband, to leave your husband, right? You're not even allowed to leave your husband even if he commits adultery, to tell you the truth, right? You're only allowed to leave your husband if he has threatened to kill you, or he strangled you, or he took your pet cat hostage and put a gun to his head, or he threw your clothes out on the road and say, just like they went out, you're going to go out next, right? If he chucks you out of the house and he said he doesn't want any more part of this relationship, any more part of this marriage, then obviously you have no choice, right? But you're not supposed to leave your husband unless your husband is threatening your life, your very life, right? You're not really allowed to leave your husband, right? Now, I'm going to end it here. Brothers and sisters, I hope you were edified. Shalom.